How's it going, everybody? Okay, so I just got done watching the season finale of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'm here now to give you guys my overall review of the entire season and the finale that just aired this past night. So, wow, okay, so let's just get right into it. So, obviously, you guys know I've already done my review for WandaVision, which was the first MCU television show that has ever been made. And I got that review out for you guys when that show ended. I'll link that one down below in the description. And here we are now with the second MCU TV show that they have released for us in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And guys, I really liked it. I really, really enjoyed this show. I did. Obviously, this one was a little shorter than the previous television show WandaVision. That one was 9 episodes, with shorter episodes each, might I add. It was a longer season in terms of episodes, but shorter in terms of how long each episode was. This show was a shorter season and 6 episodes long, but each episode was much longer, around 45 minutes to an hour long. I'm pretty sure the longest episode was an hour long if you include credits. So, what did I think? Well, again, as I said, I really enjoyed the show. I really, really liked it. As far as if I liked it more than WandaVision, I feel like that might still remain to be seen, because a show like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it resonates more with me because I'm a guy that likes action stuff. I like stuff that has action in it. And that's not to say that WandaVision didn't have action, because it did have action, but that came more towards the later part of the season, and so the first season was more build up and more character development and all that, and that's all really good, and I like that, I do. But obviously this show, it brought out more entertainment as far as, action went, and as far as, the kind of stuff that we saw occur in this show, and it's like, overall, I just had a really good time watching it for the 6 weeks that. By the way, I can't believe it's already been 6 weeks. It feels like just yesterday we started the show. Time's flying by. But let's just get right into it, guys. This is going to contain spoilers, of course. This is a show, so normally I would suppose that everybody who watches this show would have ended up seeing the episode last night and every episode. So we are talking spoilers right now, so let's get into it. So overall, I enjoyed every episode. I never had one episode in this show that I didn't like. I liked every single episode. Every episode had its good parts. Every episode, to a degree had one or two flaws to it. And I would overall say, as far as how we follow our main characters, who are, of course, Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and Sam Wilson, who is the Falcon, through these first 5 episodes, I really, really liked where they went with it, with these characters. I like how the show grounded them up and basically gave them a lot more development than they had been in the previous films. Because, of course, if you don't know, Winter Soldier and Falcon have been mostly side characters throughout the entire MCU that we have seen since, they were first introduced back in Captain America with the Winter Soldier, which was back all the way, and I think that was 2014. So we got these characters almost 7 years ago now, and, ever since then, since that film, they've mostly been side characters. While I will say they were main characters in, the films that they were in that pertain to them, like The Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War, they've always just really been side characters for the most part. And here they've gotten their own show, and I really like what they did with them. I did. I think these characters were developed very well. Granted, I think somebody like Sam, the Falcon, I thought that this show pertained more to him particularly. I don't think Bucky got as much screen time as he was probably hoping, or at least I'm sure a lot of people were probably hoping for, because it is already something that I've seen people talk about, that they were hoping that Bucky was featured more in the show, in particular more in like the season finale, which we'll get into in a second. But, and, I completely get that. But, I think a lot of the time devoted to Sam really worked. I don't think anything inherently was wrong with how they used these characters. I thought they got good amount of screen time. I probably would have liked a couple more, minutes or so with Bucky, especially in that finale. I will say that's definitely one of my nitpicks, I guess I can say, with the finale, was that I was hoping they'd get more Bucky in there. But overall, I thought they used these characters really well. And I just love how the show, in a way, because obviously this like WandaVision takes place after the snap, after Thanos, well, I should say after the Hulk's snap, after Endgame. This game, I think people now have to realize that, I feel like we should just clarify, everything from now is probably going to be taking place after Endgame. I think the MCU going forward is probably mainly, I would say 99% of the time, everything is going to be taking place after Endgame. I think we've heard that Shang-Chi, which is one of the upcoming films, that one's going to have, both parts. Some of it's going to take place before Endgame, and some of it takes place after Endgame, which makes sense. I think the trailer pretty much clarified that for that film. But I think everything from now and here on is going to be after Endgame. And, I just love how this show goes in depth on what the world is like after Endgame. Like, what's it like for every different type of person? Even especially the Avengers, Sam and Bucky. What is life like for them when they're not out, avenging and fighting enemies and bad guys? What is it like for them? And especially for somebody like those two, because of course, if you didn't know, well, I'm sure you do know if you're watching this. If you remember, those two were some of the Avengers that did end up getting snapped. They were dusted. Those two were were two of the many Avengers that were dusted. And so they've been gone for 5 years. So they don't know what it was like then. And, to Bucky's point as well, I love how they go so far to his character to show that the real Bucky, to an extent, has not been there for almost, how many years? Almost 90 years at this point? Well, I shouldn't say 90 years. Probably 7. I don't know where I got the number 90 from. It's almost been 70 years. Bucky, because obviously, since World War II, he's been this machine that has just been going around killing people without any inkling of consent. I mean, the guy was used as a weapon for so many years, to the point where he didn't age. He kept getting put into the cryo chambers to freeze up so that he would sleep away and, hibernate and then come back so they could use him again. I just love how they go in depth into these characters and what they dealt with, especially during his time and also the time that they dealt with after the snap. And, all of this together I found so interesting. And of course, getting into the plot of this show, they of course have to fight a bunch of people. There's a lot of people involved in this show. We got, of course, Sharon Carter, played by Emily Van Camp, and she came back after, I want to say it's been a long time. It's been since Civil War. Civil War was the last time that we saw this character, and it's been a couple years. It's been almost 4 years since we saw this character, and I was glad to see her back. Obviously, she plays a big part, which we end up finding out in the finale that she is the power broker. So she's basically the one playing around the strings of what's happening in this show a lot, especially pertaining to, as we see, are the villains in the show, the Flag Smashers. They are essentially the main villains per se, or at least the villains that get the most, time, that we see on screen. They're the ones causing a lot of what's going on in the show. And we see that. And I'll be honest, the Flag Smashers as villains, I like the concept. Let me be clear. As the villains, I love the concept that they went with to describe these types of villains. They're people that are basically rooted away in society and were put down by governments and the world, especially after the snap, after Endgame happened. Because obviously, their motive is that they want to go back to the time when the snap happened, during the 5 years when people were completely snapped away, when half the planet was just completely gone. They wanted to go back to that because they felt that they had a place in society during that time. Now that everybody's back, they've been pushed aside. And of course, it's like they want to get back at them. They want a place in society, and I understand some of the motivations they had, and I certainly didn't understand a lot of the motivations they had either. I felt there were a lot of parts to these villains that I thought were very just. I don't know. They didn't feel like. It felt not. I don't think forced is the right word. I think they're just. I think the best way to describe it is that their motivations were in the right place. They just went about things the incorrect way. Because of course we see during the episode a bunch of people lose their lives, particularly John Walker, who is U.S. agent, or as they call him early in the show, Captain America, or the new Captain America, after giving him the shield and, all this stuff. They kill his partner, Battlestar, Lamar Hoskins. And, it's... These villains, I have to say, while I don't think they're the best villains we've ever seen, for sure, I really want to reiterate that I love the concept of them. I think the concept of these villains was really, really good. And as far as John Walker, who is, of course, played by Wyatt Russell, he is Captain America for about 5 episodes? Yeah, he's Captain America for about 5 episodes. And then in the 5th episode, they take that away from him. He's no longer that person anymore. He gets his ass kicked by Bucky and Falcon, who end up taking the shield away from him. And throughout those 5 episodes, he is this character that is rooted in, he believes he is Captain America. And, of course, that gets taken away from him in the 5th episode. And we see that in the season finale, Falcon, or as I should say, the new Captain America, Sam Wilson, I thought it was well earned. I think a lot of people, to a degree, were thinking that this was going to happen, that Sam Wilson was going to take up the moniker of Captain America, because after the first episode, when he would give the shield away to the museum to be like, this isn't mine. I don't feel, it doesn't feel right that I should be the one holding it. It feels like it was Steve Rogers. It was his, and his alone. And of course, in the finale, or at least throughout the show, he's come to realize where he is as a person and who he could be if he wanted to do it. And so by this season finale, he comes out and he feels that he has the ability to take up that moniker. And he is now the new Captain America. Even with the wings, even with the Falcon wings, he's got the shield. He's got that new suit from Wakanda, who lended it to him, which was really, really cool. I like the suit a lot. I think the suit looks damn good. And I thought that was really, really cool. I like how they handled that. I think they did it really well. As far as, because he gives a speech in the finale, and I thought that speech was very Captain America-like. And I liked it a lot. Now, the last thing I want to touch on before we end off this review is there is a character in this show that I think, when talking about how we perceive stuff that has happened in real life and how they put it into this show, and I have to be honest, I felt that it was so well written how they wrote this character and they played it into the story. And that is this character of Isaiah Bradley, who I'm forgetting the actor's name, but he is, I guess he's a well-known voice actor for a lot of stuff, but I'm not familiar with him because I'm not familiar with his work. I haven't seen him in anything but this show. But aside from that, this character of Isaiah Bradley, who was essentially supposed to, I guess, be the first he was supposed to be Captain America. But of course, the show, being as well written as it is, plays into this aspect that, during World War II, which was a very different time, he was injected with the serum, the super soldier serum. He was tested upon. He was somebody that was used, and they tried to delete him from history. They didn't want him to hold up that moniker of Captain America. They wanted to erase him. And I think this show, being as well written as it is, plays on that aspect of, of all this happening due to the fact that he was a black man who could have been Captain America, but they didn't want that during that time period. Because obviously, World War II, we all know during World War II, times were different then, and things were not in the best of interests towards, black people. And, him being a black man, society definitely during that time would have opposed it greatly. Nobody would have accepted that. And I thought that this show played upon that really, really well, to the point where, the ending of the finale where Sam takes him to the museum where, of course, if you've seen it already, there's the whole Smithsonian, there's a whole part of the Smithsonian dedicated to Steve Rogers and the Halloween Commandos, and Sam basically gave him his own part of his own area of that part of the museum to dedicate him, because obviously nobody knew about him. Nobody knew about Isaiah. Everything regarding him had been deleted from history. The government got rid of it all. Nobody knew who he was, and nobody knew what he had done. And so when Sam did that for him, I thought that was powerful. I thought that was so good. And I just overall, man, I have to give this show so much credit for playing upon real life issues that we see in real life. Now, to be clear, it doesn't push it so hard to the point where it's like, okay, I see where you're getting at. I don't think you need to push it this hard. I thought it gave us the right amount of, clarity as to real life issues being brought into the show. I thought it did it perfectly here, to the right amount. It didn't do it it didn't do it to a ridiculous amount to the point where it was just hitting us over the head. I thought it did it perfectly to the right amount. And I have to give so much credit to the writers and the director of, all these episodes, because I'm pretty sure the same person did every single episode for this show, and I have to give that person a lot of credit. I don't know her name. I forgot her name. I'll have to look it up later, but I have to give her a lot of credit for that. And the showrunner and Kevin Feige, I have to give everybody at Marvel a lot of credit for doing that and putting that in this show and, giving us what it's like, because at the same time, it's like when you watch the show, it's not wrong in any way. The stuff they touch upon is all real. It's all true stuff. And, I just thought they did such a good job with that. So, yeah. And of course we do have an end credit scene, like all MCU stuff ends. We have an end credit scene with Sharon Carter getting her pardon like Sam promised her earlier in the show. While they were in Madripoor, he promised her a pardon. She got pardoned by the U.S. government. And of course we know, because she is the power broker, she's going to do some bad stuff, because she's on the phone with people and she's like, oh, I'm back in the government now. So that's going to be interesting. As far as a few other things that I haven't touched up upon, Steve Rogers gets mentioned a lot in this show. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things that I thought was a little weird was the fact that they really, I don't know if they were purposely trying to say that he was dead, because his name is brought up so much to the point where it's like, well, why is nobody going to him for advice on this situation, considering his shield is being used to a ridiculous amount in this show? Why is nobody going to him for advice? To the point where it's like, well, I think the show writers are just basically saying, well, yeah, he's probably dead. I mean, I don't know. I thought that was really weird how they never really touched upon that. And also, okay, so one thing I did want to say about the finale is I did think it was rushed in parts. I thought the beginning was a little rushed in like the first 5 minutes or so. I thought they rushed through a bunch of things. And the other part that I thought was very rushed, and I'll be honest, I did not like, because I thought they should have touched upon this way more. I thought this scene should have been given a couple or more minutes, because if we're being real, it was only 30 seconds long, and that was the scene between Yuri and Bucky. Of course, if you remember in the first episode, Bucky is basically friends with this guy named Yuri who, is the father of a person that he killed while he was the Winter Soldier, doing all those jobs and all those, kill missions that he was under when he was under Hydra. His son was one of the people he killed. And in the first episode, we're like, okay, at some point he's going to have to come to him and tell him everything. And we get him finally in the finale, and the scene lasted 30 seconds. To the point where I didn't feel a thing. I didn't feel a thing watching this scene. I didn't feel any sort of emotion. I thought it was rushed so hard to the point where I was just like, yeah, I didn't like that. I thought that was so poorly handled. Like, seriously, man, you could have given that scene a couple more minutes. I don't know. I don't know. That just felt real off to me. I didn't like that scene. I thought they rushed it real hard. But overall, though, guys, I've got nothing else to say. Again, I really like this show. This is one of those shows. This is going to be one of those shows where I think a lot of people are going to be wondering whether or not it's going to get another season, because WandaVision, I think it's already been pretty much confirmed that was just going to be a limited series television show. We're not getting another WandaVision show, which I think if you saw the way that the show ended, it makes sense. It makes sense why we're not getting another season. So I don't know if this show is going to get another season or if this will just end up being another limited series. Because the way that I thought they were going to be going about these shows when they were first announced was that they'd all be limited series, like kind of like their own films, but just in TV show form. I was thinking that that's the way they were going to go. A lot of people have been throwing around the idea that these shows could get second seasons, but if I'm being honest, I don't even know if they really need them. I don't think they do. I think all these shows can have their own limited series effect to them. And, like, you could basically treat them like their own movie. Because, again, this show, if you kind of sum it up, it was around 5.5 hours to 6 hours long in the total time length that it is. So, I don't think they need another season. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I thought this show was really, really good. I think if I had to give it a grade, I think I gave WandaVision a 9 out of 10. I'm going to give, actually, I don't even know. I'd have to check again. But I'm going to give Falcon and the Winter Soldier an 8.5 out of 10. I really like the show. I mean, I really did. I liked this show. Now, as far as if I liked it more than WandaVision, that still remains to be seen. I think I'll have to come back to that later at some point and see if I really did. But overall, that's my grade, that's my verdict, that's how I review the show, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The next show for the MCU that's coming up, guys, is Loki, and that's going to be in June. I'm excited for that. I can't wait for that show. It looks so interesting and weird. So be sure to tune in for that review when it comes, come June time. Of course, that comes around beginning June 11th, I think it is. So I can't wait for that one. Be ready for that one, guys. So, again, thank you so much for tuning into the video. Comment down below. What did you think of the show? Did you like the show? Did you not like the show? Talk about it down below if you did. So, yeah, that's all I got to say, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video. If you are new, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you guys all in the next video, guys. All right? You guys take care now. Peace out.